You know, we've all been there, or at least we've heard the stories. A friend, a partner, someone you're close to who is just suddenly gone. No call, no text, no explanation, just complete silence. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this really confusing and honestly painful behavior to figure out the psychology behind why people just cut others off.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? It's the one that keeps you up at night, wondering, what did I do? What did I miss? This whole vanishing act can feel like a massive personal rejection. But here's the thing, the reasons behind it are almost always way more complex, and often they have very little to do with the person being left behind.
And we have to acknowledge that feeling. It hurts. A lot. It just leaves this void, filled with a million unanswered questions. Understanding the why isn't about making excuses for the behavior. Not at all. It's about trying to find some clarity in all that confusion.
Okay, so where do we even start looking for answers? Well, the first clue, and maybe the most important one, is often hidden way back in a person's earliest relationships. Because the patterns we learn as kids, they have a funny way of echoing throughout our entire adult lives.
And that brings us to this foundational idea, attachment theory. Just think of it like this. Your relationships in childhood basically installed the operating system for how you connect with other people. Now, for most of us, that system works just fine. But for others, it comes with some very specific bugs.
And this is where it gets really interesting. See, if a child learns that reaching out for comfort, for closeness just leads to being ignored or pushed away, they adapt. They learn a tough lesson. Distance is what equals safety. And so their internal blueprint, their whole operating system, gets rewritten to prioritize being independent over being intimate. And this slide just lays out that pattern perfectly. It starts with a really simple, really powerful lesson from childhood. Relying on other people is risky business. So fast forward to adulthood. When a relationship starts getting serious or emotionally intense, that old programming just kicks right in. Intimacy doesn't feel good, it feels like a threat. And the only way to deal with that threat? Back away. Create distance. Feel safe again. It's not even a conscious thought. It's just an automatic protective reflex.
So, okay, our childhood blueprint can definitely set the stage for this, but sometimes the reason is much more immediate. It's less about the past and more about the present state of someone's mind. It isn't always a deep, old attachment pattern. Sometimes it's just a nervous system that has completely had enough.
Our experiences can literally change us physically, and trauma, whether it's one huge event or a bunch of smaller ones over time, can leave a person's nervous system stuck in the on position. The world just feels constantly unsafe, and social interaction, which, requires us to be vulnerable, can feel like a massive, overwhelming risk.
This shows two sides of the exact same coin, really. On one side, you've got burnout. Think of it like a social battery that isn't just low, it's completely dead. Pulling away feels like you absolutely have to find a dark, quiet room to recharge. But then, on the other side, you have the trauma response. Here, the nervous system isn't tired. It's on high alert, constantly scanning for danger. In this case, withdrawing isn't about recharging. It's about getting into a secure bunker to feel safe. Both situations lead to silence, but the internal reasons are totally different.
And this brings us to a really critical distinction. Is cutting someone off always a sign of a problem, or could it sometimes actually be a solution? Here we're going to look at social withdrawal as a very deliberate, even if it is a drastic, action. Man, it is so important to get the difference here. On the left, we've got something called splitting. It's a defense mechanism where a person just can't see someone as a mix of good and bad. You're either perfect, all good, up on a pedestal, or you are worthless, all bad. And the second you do something to fall off that pedestal, you get discarded. It's an impulse. But on the right, that's something else entirely. Boundary correction. This is not an impulse, it's a conclusion. It happens after someone has been consistently drained by a relationship, or after they've tried over and over to communicate a boundary that just gets ignored. Cutting contact becomes a final, necessary act to protect their own well-being. It's a deliberate reset.
All right, so we've got the childhood echoes, we've got the overwhelmed mind, and we've got these drastic measures. We've gathered all the clues. Now, let's connect the dots and find the one single thing that ties all of these different behaviors together.
So what is it? What's the common thread that runs through the person with the avoidant pattern, the one with the fried nervous system, and the one making a drastic boundary correction?
It's really easy to jump to conclusions, right? To see this behavior as some kind of cold power move, a sign of strength or superiority. But honestly, that is almost never what's really going on.
The truth is, it all comes down to one thing: control. At its very core, suddenly cutting someone off is an attempt to grab control. But, and this is the most important part, it's not about controlling the other person. It's about trying to get control over an internal world that feels chaotic, overwhelming, and totally unmanageable.
This is the key takeaway, right here. The technical term for it is regulation, as in self-regulation. See, whether it's the sheer panic of getting too close, the overwhelm of a burnt-out nervous system, or the constant pain of a toxic dynamic, the feeling inside becomes unbearable. And withdrawing is a desperate attempt to just turn down the volume on that internal storm. It's a move that's born not from strength, but from a deep struggle to simply cope.
And that leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Understanding all this, it doesn't make the hurt go away, but it can reframe it. Instead of hearing a message that says, "You are not worthy," you might begin to see that the silence is really a reflection of their own internal battle. It's a sign of their limits, not a statement on your value. And that shift in perspective, maybe that's where the healing can finally begin.